Welcome to a game between Masper here in blue versus therx here in red. Masper starts with Shipyard. As you can see here, therx is gonna go for hovers, and he mismanaged the placement of the hovercraft platform, wasting a few seconds. Personally, I don't really like hovers on this map. There is not really any terrain, maybe except these little pieces that they can actually abuse. Otherwise, ships can reach pretty much everything else. And yeah, ships has basically been rebalanced to be the best option on pure sea maps, and this is pretty much a pure sea map. So I would recommend going ships on this map. Hovers are mostly gonna struggle. Like hunters are really fast, and they do quite a bit of damage, so they're gonna win the dagger mashup handily. And daggers in general have pretty low DPS. So yeah, just 35 DPS, they're not good at raiding or killing light defenses. And yeah, they die pretty badly against hunters. Let's see how he manages this. Like, hunters are almost the same price as daggers. Well, they're about like, yeah, 20% more expensive. 25, yeah. Yeah, if they're distracted and wasting their projectiles, but yeah, he still killed a few mixes there, so yeah, and you can see here trying to chase down the hunters is kind of painful, really. And the hunter stops just so we can get a shot off and finish one hunter. But yeah, that's generally the deal. Like, if the enemy is just making hunters or even cutters, they can kind of kite and out damage the daggers. And in retaliation, if you're gonna try and raid, yeah, it's gonna be hard to do enough damage with daggers. Switching it up to bolas, yeah, you're gonna be a bit slower, but on the other hand, you're gonna do a bit more damage. But still, you are most ready, yeah. But yeah, it has generally been acknowledged that ships should be the premier choice on pure sea maps. So let's see how we handle this in this game. Like, here come the hunters again. You do a little bit of damage against the hunter, but yeah, just two-shotting it. And if your daggers can't do this much damage as easily. So yeah. Yeah, so you can see that they killed one mix and one dagger while being outnumbered. Well, did you manage to kill anything? Not really. So what do you do against a pure hunter spam? I mean, you're gonna have to be slow with like bolas or something, because you can't really keep up with the hunters. Yeah, and that's some damaged daggers there going in, and they're gonna die pretty easily towards, yeah, these hunters. I haven't used the new Claymore that much, but it's also kind of slow, but it's still a bit fast, so it's still better than like using maces or scalpels. And you don't seem to have your expanding cons on high priority. You really want to have your expanding cons on high priority so you can build mexes faster, because that's the premier way of expanding your economy. And here comes a hunter force. Yeah, I don't think this dagger will have a chance really, unless they go in against several daggers and die like that, so yeah. tanking with the commander against hunter is risky, so yeah, you're already down to half health. Something you can do, especially against hunter, is to jump up and do some damage that way, because when you're in the air you can't even be hit by the hunters, and you might even waste some shots of the hunters. Yeah, but hunters are relatively fragile, so they are pretty fast to defenses. Oh, and here comes a Corsair. Like, that's the thing in general, like you get more or about the same power, but in a much faster package. So yeah, if you compare the mace to the Corsair, yeah, the Corsair costs less, has about the same HP, and still it has less DPS and less range. But otherwise it's faster, and yeah. But otherwise it's faster and it's gonna be able to outmaneuver the mace easily. So that's a thing, that's a theme. You get something in the same class but faster, basically. And a little bit cheaper, I guess. Yeah, so at this point you're getting behind in expansion because, yeah, you're losing more value than your enemy, basically. Because ships are more cost effective, really. Let's see how you try to deal with this Corsair. You have a Scalpel incoming. Yeah, going alone against a Corsair like that is not too good. You're gonna lose that, I think. And yeah, yeah. I'm gonna try and run down this Corsair. I guess finishing it off is worth it. And you have finally remade that Metal Extractor, but you're gonna remake that Metal Extractor now, so that's something. But still, at this point your opponent is pretty far ahead. Although your opponent is accessing badly. Oh, that's a really big excess. Your opponent is accessing half the metal. That's weird. Oh, they're gonna get up plus geothermal. After that they're gonna be fine, I guess. So in metal produce, your opponent is far ahead, but you're actually ahead in metal used. And that's gonna even out the game quite a bit. I guess Scalpels do okay against most things. I forgot that they were actually changed to be able to shoot underwater units. It's one of these weird things which has gone back and forth. Otherwise, daggers is the standard choice to use against light subs and such. And then we have also the claymore. And it looks like you're gonna get a Mariner pick off here, and that's pretty good. Also, one thing to consider when you're engaged in daggers is that Urchin has a fair bit of splash damage. So if you're not careful, you might bunch up like this too much and take quite a bit of extra splash damage. So yeah, at least you can run down this slow Mistral, but Mistrals are pretty cheap. They're at the same price as a Scalpel and the outranges of it. And here we'll see the same thing, like the Mistral. Like Urchins with their 550 range, they're gonna outrange pretty much everything that a hover player has, except the the lance. So there, you died there. Unfortunately, this stinger that was just built. But otherwise, like the Siren has an extra attack with 800 range, outranging both stingers and urchins. While this sheep Mistrals also has outranges urchins, but they don't outrange stingers at least. So the Mistral is really good at dealing with urchins, and the Siren can deal with some of them as well, while also tanking a lot of damage. Like when once the Sirens are coming out with 5,200 HP, yeah, you're gonna like struggle to get it down. Did that just crush? Looked like they crushed the poor Sparkles. So yeah, Sirens are a serious issue to deal with. I guess they're slow enough that you can like kite them with Scalpels potentially, but you have to be careful in the turns. Like Scalpels, they turn really slowly, so Siren might be able to tank the shots and close the distance if they're not in range. And then of course there's the artillery for the Ampod players. Like the lance, it has 1000 range, which is pretty far. Oh, and yeah, this is pretty bad for the daggers. Like, I don't know how you make cost with daggers against the Siren. Maybe if you can like one-shot it with one salvo, but yeah, you don't want to build that many daggers basically. So yeah, if we compare the Envoy, it has more range and it has almost as much DPS, but it's also like shorter range. I mean, it's also a bit cheaper, so it's about the same DPS for cost. But you're gonna be outranged, so even if you end up in a position where you're facing with like lances, like even if you have a lot of lances and the enemy makes envoys, yeah, you're gonna struggle to like. If the envoys see the lances and targets them, you can have a real issue keeping those lances alive. Like you would basically need some radar jamming from an owl or something. And here you can see the Scalpel deals decently with Corsairs. Halberds are an interesting choice, but yeah. They have some DPS, so I guess it can be used against some slower ships. Maybe they even work against Corsairs. So while the hover player might struggle against Pork, yeah. If you're a ship player, you're not gonna struggle much. Urchins are outranged by Mistrals and Sirens even as well, their secondary attack. And then you can just add in Envoys, and Envoy just kill everything. They're decent against mobile units, and they can fire just radar dots. They have quite a bit of splash damage, so they're pretty effective even when they don't have radar range. When they don't have line of sight spotting, I mean. So yeah, line of sight spotting, as you probably know already, is that they have what you call it, a so-called like they're inaccurate against the radar targets, and they're only accurate if they have line of sight to the target, or if you have spotted a turret and have radar on it. Then they're actually like accurate against those targets. And at this point, yeah, you kind of get it back into the game. Like you lost a few units there. Like it's hard to be cost effective against chip players and their units. And you're gonna engage this position up here, and that's gonna make your life easier if you can take out this fairly cost effectively and you're overrunning these defenses. So that's something. We want to make sure to finish off that urchin though. Meanwhile, the army, the sirens, are going uncontested basically down here, so that can be an issue. Yeah, and here comes the sirens, like maces are probably the best counter to sirens. I mean, claymores, they have a bit too little range, I'd say. So yeah, mace and scalpels work decently against sirens as well. But if you're trying to overrun them, yeah, it's gonna be hard to make cost. Even with halberds, particularly daggers. The sirens have to be really distracted by shooting at some defense or something if you're gonna make that cost effective. And at this point, your opponent is accessing again. Like if you look at excess value, your opponent has accessed 2000 metal. 2200 metal at this point even. Like maybe this was would be a good position for the claymore to be in. They could probably deal a lot of splash damage to these units. So having a few claymores around could be good. It's a fairly mobile unit as well, so it gives you a bit of map control. And here comes the Force Envoy. And you're overrunning these defenses in the middle. So, but yeah, even though you now have a larger army, your enemy is pulling ahead because, yeah, ship units are basically more cost effective than hovers. Like, I guess a good combo could be like scalpels and some claymores this late in the game. Like, claymores barely outrange the sirens, but if they're retreating, yeah, you're gonna be able to like get a shot off, take maybe one or two shots, and then retreat. I think that could work potentially. But yeah, you're still getting behind, especially after losing these units. And scalpels do decently at kiting the sirens. So maybe scalpels is a decent way to go. Scalpels are fairly decent at running down defenses as well. Yeah, even these units have a lot of health, like 2000 health. That's a lot of health, not like the lance. Maybe you're almost pulling back, invalid kill at this point. Let's see here. Not quite. It looks like your opponent is pulling away from you. A bit bunched up over there. And here you might lose your commander. Are you safe is just. But yeah, envoys, they're also really easy to manage in situations like these. Like with a lance, you would have to like target fire and prioritize and stuff. Well, this can just shoot away and do some damage every now and then. And there you're accidentally running into this stinger, I guess. But yeah, for example, this position, it's pretty hard to deal with for hovers. Like, there's 2 stingers up, it's hard to cost effectively overrun this position. Like, yeah, getting 1 lance out and shooting down this could be good, if you can also kill the envoy. I mean, you kinda... like, if your enemy doesn't see it coming, and you have something to give line of sight, like a closed halberd, or just some daggers going in while you have lance coming here, yeah, it's pretty fairly easy to kill these envoys if they're not prepared. Now that your opponent is actually spending their metal, yeah, you're falling behind, because it's really hard to cost effectively engage a ship player's army like this. Yeah, as you can see, the halberds are easily outmaneuvered by these hunters. They're easily hunted down, basically. So personally, I would probably not use halberds more than for like scouting, potentially overrunning an envoy if you had them like hold fire and then you open fire as you get close. It's a possibility. And here you're gonna get an envoy, but you're losing a lot of units to the stinger, and here comes the hunters as well, so yeah. This is not gonna be a cost-effective engagement for you, so... at least your opponent is accessing metal again. I guess your opponent doesn't opt to use repeat on their factory. Would I recommend bombers as a complement to this? Bombers are pretty good if you surprise your opponent and you pick off bombers. Actually, bombers are decent in general against ships. Like, they don't have any good flex AA. Like, their best flex AA is probably the Siren. And it's also hard to, like, it doesn't do that much damage to bombers, but it's also like, it's hard to kill with bombers because she's got so much HP. But yeah, killing off envoys with 3, if they're alone and not protected by too many sirens or too much other defense, yeah, that's an alternative. And yeah, you also gotta avoid cores here if there's a lot of them in the same place. But otherwise, Zephyrs, like the ship AA, isn't that good at killing bombers. Because it's not accurate, it's basically only... you can bomb down, they're pretty easy to bomb down, you just need 3 ravens, and if you get a good angle, you could probably just kill it with 3 ravens. So yeah. That's also an alternative to consider, like... that's one way to negate advantages like the mobility advantages that the ship player has. Like, Masper is a bit sloppy with their artillery here, but yeah. Yeah, you're still losing out in the trades. And this lone envoy is like, yeah, it's making neutralizing these mexes. Yeah, I guess hunters is one of the reasons why ships dominate. Like, they're so fast, and they're kind of heavy for a raider, being a raider. Some friendly fighter, that's kind of low. So yeah, dealing with hunters cost effectively, like, you can't really counter that mobility that they have. Not with amps, like, especially against amps, if you're trying to use ducks, they also have a bit of splash damage, so bunching up ducks is really easy, so that's hard to avoid. Yeah, maybe mixing in a claymore here and there is a good way to deal with hunters. So at least you have some, and I guess claymores are decent against sirens. And you don't want to go all in and getting close, so you take a lot of shots. But yeah, if you can trade at range, yeah, you can get some shots off and prevent hunters from swarming you. So I think having a few hunters would help. And yet again, your opponent excess. Oh, now your opponent is up to 3,500 metal with excess mace, almost. Okay. Also, you could potentially start reclaiming a bit earlier. Like, this is fairly much your territory, and there's a lot of reclaim here. You find a place to jump? No, the mountain was in the way. Yeah, sometimes it can be annoying. You can see it if you hold the jump, the red line indicates where you couldn't jump over. So that can be pretty annoying sometimes. Like, if there's a, like, since the commander is jumping in a parabola, yeah, sometimes it will be blocked by steep cliffs like this. And you can see how tanky these sirens are. You're wasting so much units just trying to kill one siren. You're gonna get the envoy though, but yeah. Yeah, it looks like we're getting to the end of this game. Yeah, next time basically ships have been rebalanced to be the optimal choice on pure sea maps. And this is pretty much a map, a ship map. So one thing you can do is you can ban some maps if you don't want to get this map when you're playing, going into the matchmaker queue. You can ban like 3-4 maps. So yeah, then you can avoid this map if you really dislike it. So there's an option to do that on the website if you log in. So yeah, basically yeah, hovers struggled really against ships. Your opponent didn't do any like very good moves. It was mostly just killing more than you did. Like your opponent even accessed 3,500 metal, and they accessed a lot of metal early. So yeah, and that negated their income advantage basically. But still, they were killing much more efficiently than you do. So yeah. Yeah, if you play this map more and doesn't ban it from your matchmaker, yeah, I recommend using ships only for this for now. Like it might stay that way. So yeah, good luck and have fun.